This truck right here is $100,000, and check out these wheels and the clearance, almost nothing. So today I'm at a Chevy dealership because GM just released their earnings.
General Motors pulling its 2025 earnings guidance and pausing share buybacks amid tariff uncertainty.
And they sent out some major warning signals for the car market. And now if things weren't bad enough with all the uncertainty in the market, all the uncertainty surrounding earnings, well, you have GM that just had to recall all of their 6.2 motors.
General Motors is recalling nearly 600,000 vehicles because their V8 engines can fail without warning, increasing the risk of a crash.
Now, there should be about 877,000 of them out there, but GM also released that not every one of these vehicles were actually a problem. And that seems weird to me because that's the amount of vehicles that have this particular motor in that are giving problems. What they do is they can lose power, they can even throw a rod through the side of the actual motor. They'll crater. The motor can crater in these vehicles, and it causes a loss of power when you're going down the interstate, highway, whatever. It can be potentially very, very, very dangerous. So what they're having to do is they're having to bring them in, test them, and potentially replace the motors on a lot of these vehicles. And I mean, here's the thing, it only is up to like the 2024 model. I think it's 2021 to 2024s. And here's the thing, there's 2025s that also have these motors, but those aren't being recalled. So hopefully they they have fixed whatever the issue was in the new 2025s. But remember, the 2025s were built back in 2024, and this was not a recall problem at that point. So I would assume that those, I know nothing, right? But I would assume that those same kind of motors are going to eventually have to be recalled as well. But that's just my thought. But anyway, that's going to be a lot of expense that GM is going to have to outlay because, I mean, they're going to be replacing motors in these trucks, in these Suburbans. I'm not sure if they're in the Tahoes or not, but they're going to be replacing a lot of these motors, and that costs a lot of money. And I've got some information here on what tariffs could actually increase the prices of a lot of these vehicles right here. And we have an analyst that says that new 25% tariff could increase vehicle cost by $4,000 to $10,000 per unit. Obviously, $4,000 on the lower end units, $10,000 on the higher end units, like the $100,000 units, and that could crush demand. Obviously, that's what's going to happen if you increase the price of one of these trucks by $10,000, and especially as high interest rates are already putting buyers on the sidelines. And I don't think the interest rates are going to move the needle at all from where they are. I don't see the interest rates going up or down in a meaningful way to change car payments for buyers. And as we know, just about all car buyers are going to be payment buyers, so that's a non-issue. But that $10,000 to $4,000 increase, that could be a major factor if we don't get help. We're already hearing administration help is coming, and it could be that stuff that is assembled in the U.S., that there's going to be a lot of help to those manufacturers that are making the move to that. But that's yet to see. It's going back and forth. So another thing that GM has done in this quarter is actually pull their buyback program. This is where they spend a lot of money to buy their shares back. It helps lift the share price of the stock. And there's obvious reasons why they would do this. They don't know what's going forward from here, and they are just going to preserve cash. And I think that's a very smart thing for them to do. It's not great for the shareholders because that is just value that can be baked in to the share price for shareholders. You have that backdrop from GM to be able to save them from the stock going down a certain whatever, because GM's just going to be there to be able to buy the stock. But now they're pulling that. I think it's reasonable, and they're not going to be buying their shares back when they don't know what's going on in the market. I want to check out this truck right here. It's a 2500 HD Z71. This is the big boy. It's a Duramax. Here, I want to see the price on it. Z71. 2500 HD, 2025 Silverado 2500 Crew Cab LTZ. Price on this one, $84,000. Now this is after all these dealer add-ons and stuff. Where's our MSRP? MSRP right here is going to be $81,700. So you got about what? Almost $3,000, about $2,500 worth of ads there. Oh, there you go, $2,391. So overall, the earnings look good for GM, but you have to keep in mind that nothing is being affected as of right now from these past quarters by tariffs. And even next quarter, we're going to see, I think, some strength coming out of a lot of these manufacturers, GM, Ford, Stellantis, because we had a lot of this pull forward in demand. And here's my worry, is that we're going to have next quarter, which is, I think, going to be very, very strong, because anyone who was on the fence, going to be buying a car, whatever, a lot of these dealers that were anticipating price hikes, well, they're taking as many allocations as possible right now because the prices are not being affected by the tariffs yet. So when you have all of this pull forward in demand, well, you can have the situation where the spigot just shuts off. Anyone who's going to buy, they've already bought, or they're buying right this minute. But next month after that, well, you might be left with zero buyers. Even let's play out the scenario, even if let's say tariffs just get wiped off the table and there's zero tariffs anywhere, you're still going to have a situation where there's so much pull forward in demand. Anyone who was on the fence, they already bought, that even if the tariffs don't come into play, even if prices don't increase over the next couple of months, you still might have a demand just crushed, just absolute, I mean, just it goes down as much as it can in the car market, because we already pulled all the buyers all forward. They're all out of the market now because they already went and bought their truck because they were so scared of prices going up. And now they're just not there to be able to purchase. So this is my worry. And look at this thing right here. Doesn't this thing look goofy? It looks like a lowrider. I don't know if the wheels are too big for this truck. It looks like it's been like dropped, right? I mean, this looks like a lowrider. This is the EV, it's a RST. I want to see the price on this because this is the fancy wheels. This is the fancy wheels. Oh my goodness. Can you see that? $100,000 for this truck. And I'm looking out here. This is this Chevy dealer's storage lot, and they have a very small footprint at their actual dealership, so they keep a lot of their vehicles on this storage lot for overflow purposes and things like that. But what I say, this whole line is just trucks. We got some EV, Equinox, and Blazer over there. I don't want to check that. What I want to find is basically the cheapest thing that they're offering at this dealership and what they actually have in stock. And I think it's going to be these Traverse over here. I think there's a Trailblazer on the other side of this, and that might be a little bit cheaper. Trailblazer. This looks like it's smaller. So let's check this. Is it EV? I don't think so. Nope, it's not. How you can tell is by the grill. If it's a solid grill, see like that, EVs don't need airflow in the front. But obviously a motorized vehicle does, and this one doesn't have stickers. So we are going to check this Traverse to see what the cheapest thing out here is. 2025 Traverse High Country, front wheel drives, not four wheel drive, just front wheel drive. $60,000. That can't be right. I gotta find something cheaper than that. That's insane. Let's see here. Let's check this one. Traverse, yeah, LT. This will be better. Front wheel drive, $50,000. So, of all these new vehicles that are not EVs, cheapest thing out here, $50,000. I don't see anything else down there. I mean, look, it's all trucks down there too. Trucks this whole way. And I doubt there's going to be a truck that's less than $50,000. Let's look over here. These are smaller. I think these are Colorados. Yeah. Let's check this one right here. I like the way these trucks look. I've heard that they're not great though. 2025 two-wheel drive LT. This is going to be one of the cheaper ones. $45,000. So $45,000, cheapest thing that I can find on this lot. That's not an EV. So one big thing that GM said is that they're going to now be pulling their guidance for it looked like the rest of this year. And I think this is going to be the first manufacturer of all of them that actually does this. I know Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, they just came out with their earnings. They also are pulling full guidance. I would anticipate Ford's going to do the same thing. All these other manufacturers are going to do the same thing, and it's because we have a very uncertain time in front of us. How can any of these companies guide if, okay, maybe we have tariffs, maybe we don't, maybe we have subsidies for the American-made vehicles, maybe we don't. Okay, we got parts now to think about. We got parts coming from China. We got parts coming from Canada and Mexico. Well, how many? What's the percentage of tariffs on there? We're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. In this environment, how can these companies forecast for anything? Well, they can't. And this is a thing I think that's, it's not good for the companies, but it's good for their stock, and I'll explain that. So on the bad side of companies, obviously they can't plan. They can't figure out what they need to do, if they need to try to move some production here, if they need to change suppliers, if they need to try to get parts out of the US, if they still try to get cheap parts out of China, even with the added tariffs on top of those. They can't plan for that. It's bad for the companies. But what they now have the benefit of saying to their shareholders, and is expected from their shareholders, is, you know what, we can't plan for anything, we don't know what's going on, and it's not really a massive negative from the stock price standpoint, because all the shareholders know, well, of course you can't predict anything. And in fact, if some of these companies would actually come out with some kind of forecast with all the uncertainty, that might actually be more negative than them coming out and say, look, we can't plan what we can't plan, right? And that's what a lot of these companies are going to do right now. And usually in a regular market, when things are not moving as quickly as they are right now, then a company coming out and saying, okay, we're pulling guidance, we can't forecast anything, that would be a massive, massive, massive negative, because the stock market doesn't like uncertainty. And if there's not already uncertainty in the market, and if a company is uncertain in a regular market, I say regular, it wins the market every regular, but you understand what I'm saying, that would be a massive, massive negative. But right now, because of the uncertainty, everything uncertain, all the fear, all the doubt, everything that's going on in the market, all the wishy-washy back and forth, tariffs, no tariffs, tariffs, no tariffs. All right, we're going to help you out. Okay, we're pulling down tariffs on parts, we're increasing tariffs, whatever's going on. It's very uncertain, and that's why these companies are allowed to be able to say, okay, we can't forecast, and they're not getting penalized for it right now.